getting good sleep is important. How you get there doesn't actually matter as long as you get there. There is no one size fits all. It's about mom attuning to herself, attuning to her child, and then we're teaching sleep skills the same way that we teach every other developmental milestone.
Okay, so if you have a baby or a toddler and you have ever Googled, how do I get my baby to sleep? You have probably gone down a rabbit hole of completely conflicting advice. Cry it out, never let them cry, schedule everything, follow their lead, and somewhere in the middle of all of that, you're just sitting there at 2 a.m. completely exhausted, wondering if you're doing something wrong. Here's what I want you to know. You are not doing anything wrong. You just haven't had the right person in your corner yet. So today's guest is someone who I think is going to feel like that knowledgeable friend you've been looking for. Chrissy Lawler is a licensed marriage and family therapist. So if the baby's not sleeping and you're fighting, y'all, she's your girl. A baby sleep consultant and the founder of The Peaceful Sleeper. After 15 years of practicing therapy, she kept noticing the same thing over and over again. Sleep was at the root of so many of the struggles her clients were dealing with. So she went and got additional training in sleep medicine and built a whole method around helping parents get their babies sleeping without the guilt, without the rigidity, and without feeling like they have to choose between their sanity or their relationship and their child's well-being. What I love about Chrissy's approach is that it's not a one-size-fits-all, which we all know it's not, right? Her whole thing is that you learn to read your baby, trust your instincts, and use a framework that actually works for your family specifically. So if you're in the thick of sleep deprivation right now, or you're pregnant and you want to get ahead of it, this conversation is for you. Good morning, Chrissy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat today.
I know, I am too. So I was telling you before we started recording that I was kind of peeping your information, and it's so interesting to me that like you went from marriage and family counseling to sleep. Tell us that. Tell us how you did that. Like, how did that connection happen?
Yeah, so I am still a practicing marriage and family therapist. I've been practicing for 15 years. Really, my interest in sleep started from my clinical work. So I started noticing that my clients that were the most stuck in other therapeutic issues weren't sleeping well, and very quickly realized that sleep is kind of the foundation of every aspect of our mental and physical health. So I got trained to treat adult sleep issues. I have training in advanced behavioral sleep medicine. And then I had babies of my own and realized that now I know how to be a good sleeper as an adult. I understand the science of adult sleep, but I'm also seeing as already a therapist before I have a baby that my mental health and my postpartum experience is directly connected to how I'm sleeping, how my baby is sleeping. And then the world of information around baby sleep actually wasn't very supportive of mental health. And so being a postpartum mom in the sea of information with a vast research base, I just saw this gap that we have to talk about infant sleep differently because it's not one size fits all. And it's not helpful when an expert is trying to help you, but they're making you feel worse or feel like you're failing. That's the worst thing for postpartum mental health.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so intrigued though that you started with adult sleep because I'm in the throes of perimenopause. And one of the first things that really changed for me was not being able to sleep and waking up feeling terrible. And I used to tell my husband, like, I've gotten, oh my gosh, I'm so much better now through like hormone replacement and peptides and all the things. But I would tell him, like, it's a really depressing feeling when you know that laying in bed doesn't mean you're going to get rest.
Yeah.
So I'm very like, and that's for moms too, you know, with their new little ones.
Yes. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen on the nights that you get really terrible sleep, you probably don't show up as the best version of yourself. And when we are exhausted, our cognitive function slows, our emotion regulation gets wonky. We misperceive signals around us. So then it maximizes depression and anxiety because you think that people don't like you or you're failing at everything. And then,
Yeah.
especially in parenting, when you have this perfect, beautiful, tiny baby and they are smiling at you or playing with you, or a toddler that wants to play Barbies, like when you don't have energy and when you feel terrible, it's those really subtle shifts in how we engage with our family and how we engage with our infants. And that's actually the bulk of what human attachment is formed through. And so
Mm-hmm.
in the sleep training world, it can be really loud and buzzy about attachment and this untrue notion that sleep training damages attachment. And we can get into that in a second.
Yeah.
But one of my big arguments is that being a well rested mother with well rested children makes secure attachment so much easier, because attachment is built from thousands of interactions.
Yeah.
And so getting good sleep just changes the subtleties of every moment of every day.
Okay, so let's just jump into this
Yeah.
attachment, because I agree with you. And I definitely agree also, which this may be like a completely different can of worms, but I also feel like there's the people who are like, you should be very rigid on boundaries with your, like, having time and your baby, and you have a right to have your own time and do your own things. And then there's the people of like, you'll never get this back. And like, so what if they're on you 24/7? Like, there's a middle ground
Mhm.
in that. And like, I have children that are probably your age. So I've been a mom for a long time, back when we had to go to the library to do research before
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so there's always been that. Just now it's so magnified with social media and the internet and all of that. So let's just jump into the attachment issues.
Yes. Yeah. So really, so much of parenting is about goodness of fit. So one of the things that I always say, and if your listeners take one thing from this conversation, it is that getting good sleep is important. How you get there doesn't actually matter as long as you get there. So often when we say like sleep training is the worst, you can't do it, you have to just have your baby with you all the time. Like, if you want to co-sleep, I'm not going to fight you on it. I just want to make sure that everybody in the family system is getting the deep restorative sleep that they need. So if your family is thriving and you're actually thriving from a family systems lens, then great, mission accomplished, A plus, that's fantastic. So there is no one size fits all. It's about mom attuning to herself, attuning to her child. And then we're teaching sleep skills the same way that we teach every other developmental milestone. So we spend time and energy laying a good foundation. And then as they show readiness, then we scale back and see what they can do on their own. So think about even eating, for example. Like, lots of babies and parents benefit from working with a lactation consultant. Just because something is quote unquote natural does not mean that it comes easily, and doesn't mean that you don't need support, right? And then eventually your baby becomes very proficient at feeding, and some babies still struggle more than others. And then at some point, after hundreds and thousands of instances of practice, they're ready to do things a little more independently. That's when we start introducing solids. We don't just plop a baby in a high chair and give them a 4-course steak dinner and say, all right, I guess you figured it out, right? So it's something that we slowly train as they're ready. So in my world, we look at the first 4 months where we are fully supporting infant sleep to get their brain to learn what good, deep restorative sleep looks like and feels like, and what good, healthy sleep patterns are. So we have our 4 pillars of a newborn sleep foundation. This is how in the newborn stage, we just set the tone for good sleep. So that's optimizing feedings, getting as much in them as they can comfortably take in every feeding. So they don't need to eat as much all night long. They've eaten as much as they need to throughout the day. We're not doing anything to drop feedings at this point, but if they've gotten enough during the day, those night feedings will start to drop off. Number two, we're looking at optimizing timing. That's where we are paying attention to sleepy cues. And as soon as baby is demonstrating readiness, we're helping them go to sleep so that their brain connects. I'm sleepy. Oh, now I go to sleep. That will really pay off later. And then we are mastering other calming strategies so that our babies are calm and content most of the time throughout day and night. And we're eliminating and treating any sources of discomfort. That's kind of our main focus those first 4 months. Once we've gotten that mastered and they're a little bit older, a little bit more capable, a little bit more ready, then we figure out, how do I step back and let you do this in a way where you are actually learning that fits my teaching style? So that's where in the child development world, we talk about the zone of proximal development. That is, what can your child, they used to be able to do it with support. They're not quite to independence yet. How do we slowly release support in a way that they can learn? So that's where we get into the gentle sleep training or some more modified cry it out approach. It's very rare that the accelerated cry it out approach is actually the strategy that a child needs. So usually where we find our sweet spot is in 10-minute timers, where we set a timer for 10 minutes. We're actively watching, we're engaging, we're monitoring. How are they doing? If they're doing okay and they're learning a thing, then you still go in after your 10 minutes, you soothe them, get them calm again, but we're on the right track. If they are demonstrating through these timers that this is not an effective way for them to be learning, then we're going to switch course and we're going to find a new strategy that fits for them. And that is attunement. That is responsiveness. I'm sure you said you have more than one kid, right?
Yeah. And as you're sitting here, I'll just be honest. So I am still traumatized by the cry it out method with my 27-year-old.
Mhm.
I can still feel how I felt in the hallway, sitting on the floor outside his door
Yep.
and listening to him screaming.
Yep.
And there was no attunement.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's where sleep training has gotten a really bad rap because
Yeah.
it
It's
used to be,
rigid.
yes, it was so rigid. There was no psychology for baby or for mom. And it was kind of, I don't know what books you read, but the books that I read when I had my first were kind of like close the door at 7 p.m., come back at 7 a.m. And if they cry for 4 hours, then they cry for 4 hours.
I don't remember exactly what I used, but there was like you go in and it was like steps, like, but it was not working for Gavin. Like,
Yeah.
not now, knowing this adult now, it's so makes so much sense to me.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
that he is that was not the right method for him, and it didn't work.
Yes.
It did not work.
Yes. And so it's about like, look, if we're starting with a 4-month-old baby, sometimes we don't really know what's going to work and what's not. And
Well, he was
so,
definitely older.
okay.
I had
Yeah.
really cemented the bad habits, but it was hard. It was terrible. And I'm
Yes.
still can remember how I felt standing out there and sitting on the floor, just crying myself,
Yes.
and his older siblings not liking it, not knowing why I was doing it.
Mhm. Yeah. And so it sounds like that wasn't the right strategy for him as a child. It
Mm-mm.
wasn't the right strategy for you as a mom.
Yeah.
And it does make me sad that as parents, we feel so much pressure that like you
Mhm.
have to do this thing when everything internally is actually saying like, no, from a grounded place, this doesn't feel right. And like you said, now he's 27 and you're like, ding, ding, ding. No wonder you've
Yeah.
probably had to modify and adapt a lot of things that
Yeah.
maybe worked for your other children that didn't necessarily work for him. So that's what parental attunement is. And, I have slightly older kids now. So I always say, like, this is a process that you'll be engaged in for your whole entire parenting career. I
Which
have
never ends.
yes, I have two different
Yeah.
kids sitting at the counter doing their math homework, struggling. Each of them is going to need a different type of support.
Mhm.
Sometimes we do, as loving parents, say, I know that you can do this. I'm going to give you space and time to figure it out, and I'm right here for you. And sometimes as parents, we say, you don't got this. You need a little bit more help.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. Like if you think about that for each, and that is the thing I really love about this is that what worked for Gavin may not have worked for Lainey, or what worked for Lainey wouldn't work for Elias, or so on. And so I love that you kind of fit that into your method for what
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, because the objective is about getting good sleep for the family system and knowing that you have options, trusting
Mm-hmm.
your gut, knowing how to tune into yourself, how to tune into your child to figure out the next right step for them. So I
Right.
talk a lot in the book about swimming lessons and learning to ride a two-wheeler. Those are
Yeah.
some of those earlier developmental things where it's like, hey, I am going to let you be uncomfortable a little bit while you are learning this, but we also want to make sure that you're learning this in a way that's actually working for you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really not that different than how we do tummy time and learning to walk. Like
Yeah.
our kids, when they're learning to walk, they are going to tumble, they are going to bonk their heads, they're going to get really frustrated when they can't open a door or buckle their shoes. And so a lot of modern parenting is very anxious parenting. And there's a notion, unfortunately, that like the kindest, most loving thing that we can do is be so there for our children that they don't experience discomfort.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I've said this to my daughter because she has a 2-month-old. And I'm like, it's okay for her to be uncomfortable for a minute because it teaches her how to handle being uncomfortable, which is the rest of life.
Yep.
And I do agree. There's this like, I need to fix it all.
Yes. And that's actually, this is where I jump in from being a therapist for 15 years. That doesn't work for parents long term, and it
Mm-mm.
really doesn't serve children long term.
No.
And so, sometimes, as you know, like Instagram can get a little bit chaotic and a little
Yeah.
bit mean. And one of the things that makes me feel like a little bit panicked, a little bit heavy is when there's so much anger, especially around parents' needs or
Mm-hmm.
spouse needs. And we had a post the other day where somebody literally said, F the relationship, the baby is number one right now. And I just like, oh, I know that baby comes first. And I have no idea what's happening in couples that I am not working with. But
Right.
also, we have to figure out how to balance out prioritizing different aspects in different ways, because when mom's needs don't matter, when the relationships needs don't matter, when other kids are kind of getting thrown by the wayside because now we have a new baby, it doesn't actually work long term.
If you're pregnant and feeling overwhelmed, unsure about what really matters for birth, or hoping it all just goes well, this is for you. Most parents don't realize that it isn't effort, it's preparation that actually builds confidence. The Calm Birth Bundle closes that gap. It walks you through labor, birth, and your options in a clear, calming way. So you're not guessing in the moment or relying on someone else to decide for you. The goal isn't a perfect birth. It's a confident one. Right now, as a podcast listener, you can take $50 off with the code POD50. Go to labornursemama.com/calm, CALM. Get prepared, feel grounded, and go into your birth knowing you've done your part. No, and like you just said, like that statement is so wrong, because does that mean the other kids don't matter, or is that just like your partner doesn't matter? Like that, there's a lot in that. And that could be depending on where another mom who's in the throe of it and tired and hormones reads that. That could be taken in so many different ways. And the saddest thing about all is that at the end of this, I'm an older parent. I had another child late in life, but I have 7. I don't know if you know that, but I've got one still at home. At the end of this, it's back to you and your partner. And if you've been, oh, the baby's the only thing that matters with all of these babies that you've had, you're left with nothing and two people who don't know how to connect at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a marriage therapist for 15 years and being married myself for 16 years, I'm sure you also have felt this. Like, marriage isn't a walk in the park all the time.
No, it's not.
You have to reinvent yourselves, and you
Yeah.
reinvent your love, and you pour into each other. And also, we know from the data that having a healthy relationship between parents is really, really good for kids. It
Mm-hmm.
also doesn't mean stay together no matter what. We know from more recent data that, it's kind of a toss up. Like if parents stay
Yeah.
married, but their relationship is toxic, like, is that really better for the kids than getting
No,
divorced?
it's not. I got divorced in 2019 and got married to this amazing man now. But when you're in the throes of that, you feel like you'll cause more damage to your children if you leave when you're really causing more damage by staying. But that's a whole nother podcast episode.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But I think where I come from is like, hold on, if we can make good investments early, we can avoid so much hardship
Mm-hmm.
later. And so
Yeah.
teach your kids as they're developmentally ready that they can handle being uncomfortable, that they are capable, that
Yeah.
I believe in you. Invest in your maternal well-being early and often, even if it's just small things of like, I'm going to take a shower for 7 minutes by myself.
Yeah.
Invest in the relationship early. Look at the whole family system well-being,
Yeah.
because what we don't want is to be 10, 15 years down the road with a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas of
Yeah.
how did we get to this place now?
And you
And,
can't
and
go
I
back.
and you can't go back.
That's
And I
it.
know that I'm just talking about this little world of baby sleep, but it
Yeah.
really has always felt like I can't solve everything in this whole big picture. But
Mm-hmm.
if we can get everybody in the family system sleeping well, and if we can get new moms thriving early, and if we can tap into that parental intuition to
Mm-hmm.
know, how do I take care of me? How do I take care of you? How do I take care of this relationship? And how do I learn to strike that balance? If we can be empowered, then there's benefit later.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that you keep saying for the whole family, for the whole family system or unit, because that is so important. Like even when we were talking about co-sleeping, like sometimes co-sleeping doesn't do well for you and your partner. Like so, but I did co-sleeping with all of my kids and it was just the easiest thing for me. But I did, as I mentioned, try some. Now, I had my second child was the easiest. Like, I didn't even, he sleep trained himself. Like, he
Yes.
literally was like the easiest kid ever. Okay. So before we get done, because as I told you, my ladies are not long podcast listeners, they like
I love
short
it.
little nuggets. What are like 3 tips that you would give to a new mom listening? Maybe she's sitting there thinking, you have no idea. Like this baby, I can't even lay this baby down for a nap. I can't go to the bathroom. I can't do anything. How am I going to get this baby to actually sleep without being attached to me? What
Mhm.
would you say to them?
Yes, I mean, I think in that scenario, the first thing that comes up is that you deserve support. So whether it's, find a sleep consultant, find a book, find a blog, know that good sleep is important and your well-being matters. And also, if you are trying your best, you are doing enough. So we learn from the best resources and we try our best and our kids will be okay. So that's kind of message number one is you've got this. It's not going to be this way forever. You can get help. And if you're trying your best, you are enough. I think number two, as far as actionable tips for the younger babies, I would keep in mind the idea that sleep begets sleep. So the better sleep they'll have during the day, usually the better their sleep will be at night. And then just start tuning into
Well, wait, let's go
how,
back to that again.
yes.
What does that mean exactly? What does better sleep during the day look like? Like define that.
So yeah, for babies over 8 weeks, we usually want all naps to be at least an hour. So if you have a baby that's catnapping and they're sleeping for 25, 45 minutes, that's a baby that we want to rock back to sleep, even if it requires a contact nap for the last segment of that nap, because
Okay.
we want to teach their brain that every nap lasts at least 1 hour.
Okay.
So if we can get in this pattern of 1 hour sleeping and then however much awake time is appropriate at their age, because it changes, then we're helping their sleep system establish, because when we get poor sleep during the day, we have more cortisol spikes in the middle of the night. So their sleep is more fragmented when they
Okay.
haven't napped well.
So we're training their little brain.
Yes. Yep. With
Okay.
everything that we're doing, we're
Perfect.
training their little brain to know how to optimize and maximize the things that are really important.
Okay. And what's your third tip? I know
Now,
you had one.
yes, I did. And now I forgot what I
This
was
is
going to.
what happens when the podcast interviewer interrupts you because she hears something she wants to ask more about.
No, not at all. Or when I just get otherwise interrupted.
Yeah. And when your children come in while you're interviewing, which is
Exactly.
fine. That's how we roll. I both my businesses, my birth business and my coaching business, family comes first. So,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So
Okay.
tip number 3, it's golden. I know it. It's in there.
Yes. So tip number 3, I want parents to tune into themselves and start paying attention to baby and figure out, how have we taught other independent milestones, whether it's tummy time or crawling or pulling up to a stand? Like, how do I support this child's independence? And what are some ways that I would feel good about taking a step back and seeing what they can do independently? This does not just mean like we listen to one podcast and we're like, all right, I'm going to do cry it out. And then we just kind of toss them in the crib and walk away. That's not what sleep training looks like either. In the same way that we don't just toss a baby into a pool and we're like, it's swim lessons.
Yeah.
Or hand a toddler a 2-wheeler and we say like, here you go, figure it out.
Yeah.
It's really important that we do establish the foundation with support and then conscientiously release support. But for a mom listening right now, I want you to just kind of start to get your wheels turning on what could releasing support look like for us and what is my baby capable of.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. So before we go, tell everyone about your book. Let's talk about your book.
So my new book, The Peaceful Sleeper, it's a national bestseller. I'm so excited. It was #1 in Parenting New Releases. It dives into the science of infant sleep, recognizing that there is no one size fits all. So I'm going to present you with all of the data that we have about sleep training, kind of how to weed through the noise and trust your own instinct and then get great sleep in a way that works for your family from 0 to age 1. And my hope is that it's the best go-to baby shower gift. If there is a new mom in your life, you know she's going to be overwhelmed about sleep, just grab a copy, grab a couple. It's kind of my big warm hug as a therapist to a new mom in her journey to say, you've got this, you can figure it out, and I'm going to help you with these couple things.
I love that. So my other question would be, is it available like on Audible or Kindle or any of the other platforms?
Yep, it's available on Kindle. We haven't recorded the audiobook yet, but that's in the works.
Okay.
Anywhere.
I'm an Audible gal.
I know, me too. So
unless it's fiction. If it's fiction, I want to read an actual book.
Yes.
But if it's business, if it's any kind of learning, I want to listen to it. I listen while I walk. I listen while I drive.
Yep.
Okay.
Same.
Well, I'm so glad you came here, and tell us where everyone can find you online.
Yes, my website is thepeacefulsleeper.com. The book is The Peaceful Sleeper, and all social channels are the.peaceful.sleeper.
I love it. See, that's what I would coach you if I were your coach. Like, make it simple, keep it consistent. I love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. And I love what you're doing. And I love this like holistic family view that definitely sets you apart. So that's amazing.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the show with Chrissy. I just absolutely wish I would have had access to the amount of information that you guys have access to. I did not have this. I had a library and I had my mama. So you guys are so blessed. I'm so glad to be able to bring you guys resources to help you through the thick of pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. As always, I adore you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for supporting me and supporting my dream to impact and change birth all over the world. I am so appreciative. So I just wanted you guys to know that, especially as we're just coming out of a season of gratefulness. So if you are listening and you're like, oh my gosh, I love it, make sure you hit subscribe, leave a review. The reviews mean so much to me. So please just take a moment and write a review, even if it's short and sassy. I don't care. Girl, please leave a review. As always, I will see you again next Friday. Bye for now.